ما شاء الله لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل، نعم المولى ونعم النصير. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله قاسم الجبارين وبلا ظالمين مدرك الحاربين، والصلاة والسلام التحية والإكرام على النبي الأمي المكي المدني الهاشمي الذي سمي في السماوات بأحمد وفي الأراضين بأبي القاسم محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الأطهرين، سيما أولهم أمير المؤمنين وآخرهم بقية الله في الأرضين. روحي وأرواح العالمين كرام مقدمه الفداء، ورحمة الله على محبيهم ومواليهم وشيعتهم أجمعين، ولعنة الله على أعدائهم العمين. Amma ba'd, for the happiness of Hazrat Zahra Marziya, for the enlightenment of the graves of Yawm al-Humeen, of the graves of Shuhada, Ulama and Siddiqeen, for the safety of the followers of Ahl al-Bayt around the world, and for the safety and the hastening of the reappearance of Hazrat Maqiyatullah al-A'zam, Arwahun al-Fida, please recite your loudest salawat. All praise is due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one who is Rahman and the one who is Rahim. Yesterday we began our discussion surrounding the criterion for love and what the characteristics of those that are the lovers of Ahl al-Bayt are. We touched upon what are the benefits of loving Ahl al-Bayt in the hadith of the Holy Prophet and Amir al-Mu'mineen, as to what is the effect of it in the sirat, in the hisab, in the nushur, in the mizan, in the kitab, in the sirat, where Amir al-Mu'mineen is saying, or the Holy Prophet is saying to Salman, that Salman, if you have love of my Ahl al-Bayt, we will come to your aid at 7 places: at the time of your death, at the time of your resurrection, the time of your questioning, at the time when you will be placed in front of the scales, at the time when your book will be handed to you, at the time that you are being made to cross across the sirat. And we said that each and every one of these stages has their own riwayat that are associated to them, as to how it is that a person receives their scroll of deeds and how it is that Ahl al-Bayt interact with that. We mentioned a couple of those yesterday, that at the time of death, an individual sees Amir al-Mu'mineen. Amir al-Mu'mineen says to Harith Hamadan, he says, Ya Harith Hamadan, min yamut yarani, the one who dies will see me, regardless, be they a mu'min or be they a kafir, whether they like it or not, they will all see me. The believer seeing me will become overjoyed. The disbeliever seeing me will become upset and afraid. And so as a result of that, you have Ahl al-Bayt, or you have the interaction with Amir al-Mu'mineen there. They say that someone came to the 6th Imam, Imam al-Sadiq, salawatullah wa salam, and he said to the 6th Imam, he said, I have a friend that is from amongst the Nasibis, the Nawasib, one of the enemies of Ahl al-Bayt. He says that he fell ill some weeks ago, and they thought that he was going to die. And so he says, I went to see him because I'd known him for years. And as his death approached, says, and those final moments, he turned towards the corner of the room and he said, Mali walaka ya Ali, Mali walaka ya Ali, Mali walaka ya Ali. And when he said that, he says he died. He left this world and he died. He says that word, the Mali walaka ya Ali. He says, what was wrong with me that I denied you, O Ali? What was wrong with me that I denied you, O Ali? This individual is telling Imam al-Sadiq, he says that my friend said this as his soul was leaving him. What does this mean? And Imam as-Sadiq 3 times he says, Ra'ahu wa Rabbil Ka'ba, Ra'ahu wa Rabbil Ka'ba, Ra'ahu wa Rabbil Ka'ba. By the Lord of the Ka'ba, he saw Amir al-Mu'mineen. He saw Amir al-Mu'mineen. That at that point he sees that now this is the reality. Because when a person enters into that realm, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Holy Quran says, لَقَدْ كُنْتُ فِي غَفْلَةٍ مِّنْ هَذَا وَكَشَفْنَا عَنْكَ غَطَائِكَ فَبَصُرُكَ الْيَوْمَ حَدِيدٌ. That this is that thing that you were inattentive of the whole of your life. And so now we have moved aside the curtains that have covered your eyes, and today your sight is sharp. Now you see all of the realities that you had denied throughout your life. So Amir al-Mu'mineen, the Holy Prophet, they say that we will come to you at the time of your death. We will come to you in your qabr. I gave you the example of that light that comes. And the strongest of the 5 lights that enters the grave on the first night is the wilayah of Amir al-Mu'mineen. In the realm of the barzakh, when tajassumul a'mal takes place, when a person's actions take form for them, their good actions, their bad actions, everything takes a form within the barzakh, and either forms a punishment or forms a defense or a partner in that journey into the akhirah. Then the next stage of it is on the day of mahshar, when a person is raised. That day the Quran says that its equivalent is بِمِقْدَارِ 50,000 sana. Says that day is equivalent to 50,000 years. 50,000 years. However, the Holy Prophet says that the one that is the lover of Ahlul Bayt, for him the day of judgment will be as long as it took him in this world to recite 2 rak'ah of salah. That when they come on that day, for the rest of existence, it will be 50,000 years. But yet for the lover of Ahlul Bayt, for them it will be like reciting 2 rak'ah of salah. Even when it comes to the sirat, which we'll come to, there are different speeds at which the people cross the sirat, and that's a lecture in and of itself as to why it is that they're able to cross at what speed. Then when they enter into the plains of mahshar, it's quick. The believers, the disbelievers are brought in various groups. Some are brought in the form of monkeys, others brought in the form of dogs, others brought in the form of pigs, others are brought in, dragged upon their faces, others are made to be brought in without legs or arms, carried in and thrown upon the burning sands. Others are brought in while they're deaf, dumb. Others are brought in while they're blind. Others are brought in holding musical instruments that they played in this world. Others are pinned to trees made of fire. Different groups, and this itself is a whole narration where Mu'adh ibn Jabal asks Rasulullah that in the Holy Quran when it says فَنُفِخَ فِي الصُّورِ فَتَأْتُونَ أَفْوَاجًا, that what does it mean when it says, and when the trumpet is blown, people will come in, fauj, they'll come in groups. And the Holy Prophet then explains 10 groups of individuals that will come into the plains of mahshar in different ways. Those that were monkeys were people who used to take rumors from one place to another. They would slander other people. They would walk around and they would take the gossip from one side to another. Those that come in the form of pigs are those that did not care whether their food that they were eating, whether their income was halal or haram. It didn't matter. They were those individuals whom lied to HMRC, for example. I'm only working this much, or I'm only earning this much. Please top me up with my benefits for this much. It's lying, haram. Yeah, so these individuals that are brought in that form, other individuals that are brought while being dragged upon their faces, these are individuals who live their life consuming interest in the dunya, that now they're being inverted. You inverted the orders of God, and now you will be brought upside down, your face scratching along the earth. Other individuals, different groups that are brought in for different crimes that they were made or that they did in the dunya. Groups after groups, but yet the groups of the believers who are those that loved Ahlul Bayt, that obeyed Ahlul Bayt, as was their right to be obeyed, as was their right to be loved, they will enter, the narration say, on camels of light. They will be surrounded with an entourage of angels. They will sit and wear clothing of light, and they will be brought into the plains of mahshar, and all of the individuals in the plains of mahshar will start looking at these people that are brought in, asking, who are these individuals? Are they some Nabi? Are they some individuals that were messengers of God? They'll turn around and say, no, these are the believers from the dunya. They will be brought down, tents of light will be set up for them. Inside there will be cushions. For them there will be food of heaven, and they will be told, you sit here, you relax. For you there is no test, there is no questioning. You wait while we deal with the rest of existence. That's the day of judgment for the believer. وَعِنْدَ الْحِسَابِ, and at the time of the accounting, when it comes to the accounting of the believers, the hisab and the mizan, the narration say that each group of individuals will be raised with the imam of their time. When they are given their scroll of deeds, the person handing them the scroll of deeds will be the imam of their time. And then, although at that point, the day of judgment, the questioning will be from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. At one point, the adl of Allah will turn into the fadl of Allah. The adalat will turn into that virtue and the blessings of God. And that only happens when Ahlul Bayt are introduced into the equation, where he was judging everyone with total and utter justice. Soon he hands over the judgment to Ahlul Bayt, that you deal with your own Shi'as as you deem fit. And the books of deeds will be given to them. And the narration says that there will be some of the believers whose scale of deeds will be weighing towards having them placed within a hell. But the imams will go around and find the individual whose right they had taken. For example, in the case of Haqqun Nas, I infringe someone's right. So at that point, the imams will begin to ask Allah to forgive that. They will find the person whose right was infringed. He will be brought in front of Allah, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say, will you forgive this mu'min that has infringed your right? The individual whose right has been infringed, he says, what's in it for me? What's in it for me? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, let me show you your maqam in your normal position. If you did not forgive this person, hellfire, more than likely. But if you forgive this mu'min, this Shia of Ali Muhammad, this is your position that you will be granted in Jannah. That individual will say, I forgive him. And one by one, those individuals whose scroll of deeds was slightly leaning towards them entering into heaven, maybe one or two deeds were weighing them down to make them go towards hell, those individuals, one by one, the imams of Ahlul Bayt will do their shafa'ah. They will turn towards Allah. Allah, this is one of my Shi'as. His scroll of deeds is weighing towards him entering into hell. Ya Allah, allow me, forgive him. And the reply will come, today is your day, you do as you wish. Today I have given you total command over this day. The narration says from Imam al-Baqir that when Sayyidah enters within the plains of Mahshar and she is told enter within the gardens of Jannah, she will stop. She will turn back towards the Arsh. Ya Rab, uridu an yu'rafa qadri fi hadha al-yawm. My Lord, I wish these people to understand my true worth on this day. At that moment, tongues of fire will come out from hell. Take all of those that oppressed Ahlul Bayt, drag them into the depth of hell. Then she will cast her eye over the plains of Mahshar and find individuals that have been shackled and are being dragged towards hell. But yet written in between their eyes is hadha muhibbu Fatima. This is a lover of Fatima. She will turn back towards Allah, say, Ya Allah, this person, my lover, is being dragged towards hell. How is it possible? The reply will come, Zahra, today is your day. You do as you please. Imam al-Baqir says, my mother will begin to pass over the plains of Mahshar, doing intercession for all the believers and all the lovers in the same way, picking people up from the plains of Mahshar in the same way that a bird flies over the earth, picking seeds off the earth. This is the hisab, the kitab, the mizan. And then we reach the sirat. And then at that point, for people it's 7,000 years long, with 7 stages. Each stage about a different action, about a different sin that a person may have committed within the dunya. And each station 1,000 years of questioning and 1,000 years of punishment. And there are 7 of these stages. But people will pass over it in different speeds. The 8th Imam says, Amir al-Mu'mineen says to Harith Hamadani as well, that Harith, because of this, we will come to you in the sirat, we will aid you. The 8th Imam says, the one that comes on my ziyarah, I will aid him at 3 points. One of those places is the sirat, is upon the bridge. People will pass over in different ways. Remember, this bridge is thinner than a hair, sharper than a sword. Says that they will pass over in certain ways. The believers will pass over like lightning. The way that lightning passes, those 7,000 years, they will go straight through them and into Jannah. Like lightning. Another group will pass karrih, like wind, at the speed of wind. A third group will pass at the speed of a galloping horse. Other groups will pass having to slide themselves along it. These are now the sinners. We're starting to enter the realm of those that are the sinners. Remember, I said thinner than a hair, sharper than a sword. And they're laying on their front and they're being forced to pull themselves across the bridge of Sirat, cutting as they go along. Then the last group are those that will be made to crawl on the Sirat. On their hands and knees they will go through it. But the first couple, those that pass like lightning, those that pass at the speed of wind, are from amongst the believers. Those that had the shifa'ah are those that have received the intercession of Ahlul Bayt. Those 7,000 years pass within the blink of an eye. They go from one side into heaven purely because of that love of Ahlul Bayt. But I said to you yesterday that that love that we have, or that we talk about, it has criteria. It has certain requirements. It's not just that I say I love Amirul Mu'mineen or I love the Aimma and that is enough for me to enter into heaven. No, it requires certain things from us. The first thing was that the love of Ahlul Bayt must... I should test you actually. See who can remember what. The first of them was the love of Ahlul Bayt should be...
Like a lightning.
Sorry?
Like a lightning.
Yeah, but there were characteristics for who... what are the characteristics of the love of Ahlul Bayt? The first one was that it should be for the love of Allah. You love Ahlul Bayt, has made them and has deemed their love to be wajib for you. That Allah is at the forefront of all of that. Everything that you do, and the Imams constantly said that those, you remember the story of Imam al-Hussein and those individuals that came to visit him. Half of the group went to Muawiyah, half of the group came to Imam Hussein, and they were trying to say like they're doing the Imam a favor. And the Imam says, no, that the individuals that do not love us for the sake of Allah will never succeed. But those that love us for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in Jannah they will be as close to us as these two fingers are to on their hand. That on the day of judgment in Jannah they will be this close to us. If they love us for the sake of Allah, said the be all and end all of everything is solely Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is, if you remove Allah from the equation, nothing else exists. Allah is the ultimate in everything. So the first requirement of the love of Ahlul Bayt is the love of Allah. We love them for the sake of Allah. That interesting hadith that we mentioned yesterday from Tuhf al-Uqul, where they say that those that await the Hujjah, the Imam of our time, for the sake of their dunya, they are not from us. Ahlul Bayt, they're not from us. People who await the Imam and say, oh, when the Imam comes, we're going to rule over the people, we're going to get rid of these oppressors. Says, no, that's you're waiting for your dunya. You're doing intidhar of the faraj for your dunya. That, as a result of that, you're not from us. The ones that await the hujjah for the sake of their dunya, they're not from us. Then the second stage that we said was that a person loves Ahlul Bayt unconditionally. They don't expect a return on their investment. The requirement is that a person loves Ahlul Bayt without wanting some sort of recompense for it. And we gave examples from Karbala, we gave examples of those that came to Imam al-Rida and brought their khums and were trying to show to the Imam that we brought you so much money. The love of Ahlul Bayt must be unconditional. That I do not think that they owe me something for the love that I have done. And I gave the example that we have various things that we do in our day-to-day life. I give one majlis, I think, I've saved the deen. And now Ahlul Bayt definitely must do my shifa. Or I host one majlis, or I sponsor one majlis, and then I go around telling everyone. Then that for me, there is no barakah in it. Because that's the riyah, that's ajab coming out, that I want to show everyone of all the good I've done. And Yawm al-Qiyamah, Allah will call out, where are the people of self-conceit? Come forward. Now go and ask the people who you were showing off in front of for your reward. Because I have no reward for you. I gave you everything in the dunya. You did these things so people would say that you were a great person. That you wanted to create a legacy. But you didn't do it for me. So as a result of that, now go to those people. So those are the first two we discussed yesterday. There were three that remained. And inshallah we'll try and discuss those three today. The third is that an individual loves Ahlul Bayt with action as well. Not only does he love it, but he also shows it in his actions. That an individual makes their actions that which Ahlul Bayt wanted from us. Their actions are like Ahlul Bayt. Not that I do half, like pay lip service to Ahlul Bayt and then not follow up with my actions. A group of individuals come to visit Imam al-Rida salawatullah wa salamuhu alayhi. When Imam is in Marv, which is modern day Turkmenistan. Says that's where Imam was given his seat. So they come from Medina to visit the Imam in Turkmenistan. It's a distance. And they came by foot as a show of their love for the Imam. So they come in to visit the Imam. And as they enter into the Imam, they say, Imam, we've walked all the way from Medina to see you. And the Imam says, but let me tell you one thing. Don't allow this love, this act of devotion that you have done, get in the way and stop you from doing your a'mal, your wajibat. Don't make yourself think that just because I have the love of Al Muhammad in my heart, that this is the only thing that I need and there will be no requirements for me to do any action, no requirements for me to fulfill my wajibat. I have to do something. Amir al-Mu'mineen goes to visit Sa'sa bin Sawhan. Sa'sa is that individual so close to Amir al-Mu'mineen. He comes to Amir al-Mu'mineen even when Amir al-Mu'mineen is on his deathbed. Only a few people are allowed to come in to visit him. One of those is Sa'sa bin Sawhan. And it's that famous narration where he says, Ya Ali, are you greater? Is Adam greater? Are you greater? Is Nuh greater? Are you greater? Is Musa greater? Same Sa'sa. Sa'sa falls ill. Amir al-Mu'mineen goes to visit him. As he sits with Sa'sa, he says to him, Sa'sa, do not think for a moment that your akhirah is now set because Ali came to visit you while you were ill. Says that is not the criterion, Sa'sa. Your a'mal, your actions are what will define you on Yawm al-Qiyamah. Not that Ali came to visit you. It's a big statement. That I have one dream where I think I've seen the Imam in my dream and I think, mashallah, this was definitely for me. Or I saw the Holy Prophet in my dream, or I saw the Imam of my time, that must mean I'm pure. Or I get called for ziyarah every single year. Doesn't mean that my akhirah is now sorted and I have no accounting. Yes, it's adding up. But he says that love requires amal. It requires a person to do action as well. Not just say that I love Ahlul Bayt, but actually show it within my actions. Sa'sa bin Sawhan is being told by Amir al-Mu'mineen, I see an Imam in my dream, or I see something in my dream where I'm going on ziyarah or doing something. It shouldn't make me complacent. That's it, I'm sorted. The love must come with action. That the acts of devotion. I spend the whole of Shab Ashur doing Matam and Azah, and then the next morning when it comes to Salat al-Fajr, I've overslept because I was so tired from the night before. When it comes to fulfilling my wajibat, I've slipped up. Acts of devotion, acts of love cannot overcome the wajib, those actions that Allah has ordained. So Imam al-Rada is saying to these individuals, he's saying, don't think that you'll stop doing good because you've come all this way, or don't ever stop striving in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because this whole thing is not made to be easy. The dunya is not made to be easy. The test of the world is not made to be easy. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Holy Quran, He says, Ya ayyuhal insan, innaka kadihun ila rabbika kadahan famulaqi. Says, oh mankind, you are going on a difficult, you are striving in a difficult way towards Allah, towards your Lord. Famulaqi. Until you meet Him. Whether you like it or not, this conveyor belt is going towards Allah. You can try and go against the grain, you can try and not obey Him, you can try and do whatever you want. It's a one-way track, it's going constantly towards Allah. It's like those those moving escalators in the airports, the big airports, and you stand there and it carries on moving. Yeah, it's like that. It just carries on moving. If I try and turn the other way and carry on running the other way, it's just not going to help me. I'm still going that way. I'm still going to the destination of where that escalator is going. And the dunya is the same. Life is the same. It says, إِنَّكَ كَادِحٌ إِلَىٰ رَبِّكَ كَدْحًا. You are going towards your Lord whether you like it or not. It's a difficult, it's a hard knock, but you're going that way. فَمُلَاقِي. Until you meet Him. So Imam says, don't stop striving in the way of Allah. Then he continues, but also don't put our love aside just because you do all your a'mal. He weighs it up now. The Imam balances it out. He says, don't put all our love on one side and not do any a'mal. But then don't go on the other side and say, because I do my salah, saum, hajj, everything, now the imams, they don't have wilayat taqweeniyah, the imams, they're not like this, the imams, they were just like us. And he says, don't lose our love. You have these two extremes. We have it within our community. You have two extremes. One where it's total, no, only love. Don't need to do any action with it. And the other is all action, and then no love. Those are actually, nowadays the term muqassir has been misused. The actual muqassira, if you look in the history, there were three groups. There were the ghullat, the mufawwada, and the muqassira. The muqassira were those individuals that would say the imams were not normal, were not divine in any way, shape or form. And they were just simply scholars. Yeah? Now we've obviously used it for anyone who doesn't adhere to our way, a muqassid. This person is a muqassid. Yeah? So anyone who doesn't adhere to our way. That's what we use. But actually the word muqassir itself are those individuals that don't believe the wilayah taqweeni of the imams, or believe that the imams are just simple scholars. Many, even in Iran right now, the books that are coming out, that they refer to as ulama al-ahrar or ulama al-abrar, where they refer to the Ahl al-Bayt as ulama. And so these movements are there. So the Imam balances it out. He says, don't just do action, or don't just have love without any action, but at the same time, make sure that you're not all action and you have none of our love in your heart. So it has to be married. With the love, I need to have, my actions must reflect the fact that I am a lover of Ahl al-Bayt. One of the companions of the sixth Imam comes to visit him, and the Imam addresses him. He says to him, what is it that you said to that camel seller? He said, Ya Imam, قَدْ ظَلَمَنِي. He did dhulm on me. He tried to con me. So then, I swore at him for trying to con me. And the Imam turns around to him and he says, regardless of anyone that swears at you, regardless of anyone that does dhulm on you, I don't want my followers to be from amongst those that swear. Those that swear. Even if it is the enemy. Battle of Siffin. You have someone like Malik al-Ashtar and Hujr ibn Adi. They say that they hear some individual swearing at Amir al-Mu'mineen. So they swear back at Muawiyah. When the news reaches Amir al-Mu'mineen, he says, don't swear at my enemies. Don't be from amongst the sabbab. Don't be from amongst the people who do sab. See, people often mistake la'an and sab as they're two different things. La'na is a dua. It forms that part of that bara. I seek distance from this individual. Sab, swearing, is haram. But now for some reason we've mixed this up and we think, okay, we can even swear at the enemies of Ahl al-Bayt because that's like la'an. No, it's not. And we have so many examples from the life of the A'imma where they have distanced themselves from those individuals. It says, don't be from amongst the people that swear. Don't be from amongst those that belittle other people. Nowadays it's just become so easy to belittle someone. We take a picture of the poor brother sleeping, and then all of a sudden it's going around everywhere with a meme underneath it, caption this. Yeah, someone makes an odd face somewhere and you got a picture of it, or caption this. It's so easy to belittle someone. Or then we take, these silly clips or whatever come out and we start, forwarding it around and, start promoting some of these things. And one of our friends, Mulana Nusrat Bukhari, recently one of his clips came out, and he said he made a very nice point in regards to some of these clips that are floating about now about people in Nepal getting kicked and Abul Fadl waking up non-Muslims because they've done tatbir or something for these random things. As much as we know them, they're wrong. He says, but part of the problem is us. That someone is a deviant and what he is saying is absolute rubbish. But the fact I take that clip and then put it on my social media or I forward it on my WhatsApp and say, oh, listen to this nutter. Eventually what happens, that clip makes it into the hands of the enemies. And now you look at Salafi YouTube channels and everything and this person's there and they're like, look, see, this is what the Shi'as are saying. So sometimes we have to have this element of hikmah about ourselves. That what am I forwarding and who am I forwarding it to? Is it then going to go, is it not better I just bury it and get rid of it? And then the other aspect that he very beautifully raises when he talks about this point just recently is that he says that person may turn around and ask for forgiveness one day. But you've gone around and spread that rumor. He's asked for forgiveness. Allah has forgiven him, possibly on Yawm al-Qiyamah. He has no, but you will have to stand on Yawm al-Qiyamah and be the person that spread the rumor. And one of those individuals that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about in Surah Qalam, when he advises the Prophet, do not listen to 9 groups of people of those groups, the first group is the individual that takes many oaths. He takes many oaths. Everything he has to say, Qasm, this, and Quran, this, and alhamdulillah. Sometimes now even, I was saying somewhere, and the brother Zakir Maulana before me was, mujhe is mimbar ki qasam hai. And all sorts of lies and everything was coming out, and all sorts of tahrifat and all this. And he was, I swear by this member, Quran ki qasam. I was like, okay, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says anyone who takes lots of oaths, he's advising the Holy Prophet, anyone who's in front of you and everything that he says qasam, or he says don't listen to him. The second is the one who always has a tale about someone. He's got some sort of gossip on someone. He says, don't listen to that individual either. It's the one that constantly gossips, has videos to forward all the time. We don't even verify what we're sending, where it's come from, who it is. Just mass forward to everyone. And then sometimes we end up doing dhulm. People are asleep and midnight, 1, 2 a.m., ping, 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 the phone's going off, and his uncle can't go to sleep, so he's forwarding everyone the videos. It's just dhulm. We have to be, be very wary of what we're doing. Hadith come and, there's this book that, we never even read the book, but I got a hadith, someone forwarded it to me, I forwarded it to everyone as hujjah. We have to be careful. So he says, don't be from amongst those individuals that swear, or belittle others, because the imams don't want anyone associated to them. Then he turns to his companion, the one that had sworn at the person that had tried to con him. He says to him, now do istighfar. Now repent for you swearing at the person that tried to con you. It's not someone it's someone who's a con artist that's tried to con the Shia. He's sworn at him. The Imam said, I don't want anything to do with you until you do istighfar. And here whatever comes, every other word's a swear word. And I think it's okay. It just flows off my tongue. The third thing is that action must follow that love. The fourth thing is that don't make Ahlul Bayt a plaything. Something that is just light, we just throw it around. And now, Harith al-Hamadani, again, he comes to visit Amir al-Mu'mineen. Amir al-Mu'mineen in the same thing to him, Harith, why are you here? He says, Hubbuka ya Ali, your love, ya Ali, has brought me back to you. He says, Harith, in ahbabtani, if you love me, truly if you love me, then Harith, make sure that you never debate with me. You never doubt what I, Ali, have to say. The second thing is don't make me a plaything, something that you can use to score points with other people with. The Imam says this, that I just take one hadith, I'm debating other Shias and I'm trying to dig hadith up and throw them. The Imam says, yes, you can do it, and no, you can't do it. He says, don't make me a plaything, don't turn it into something that is joke. He says, don't make a joke about us, Harith. People now, they start making jokes about the A'immah, they want to belittle other people, so they bring the Imam into it. It never happened. But many of these things, if a person did while in the state of fasting, it would break your fast. Many of the things we say in our qasidas, and she did it, the attribution of lies to the Hujjah of Allah. She says to him, don't doubt me, don't debate with me. What the Hujjah of Allah says is categoric. Don't doubt it. Well, you just say, it doesn't apply now, it needs to change, zaman and makan, and the Hujjah of Allah is saying something. Second thing is that don't make jokes about us. Says third thing, Harith says, don't lower my station. The status that I have been given, don't lower it. Don't bring me down to the level of a mere human mortal. Our station is higher. Then at the same time he says, but do not exaggerate the status that we have been given by Allah. Says, do not exaggerate that status. Don't lower us, or don't exaggerate. We have it with plain examples. I don't need to go into, all the various things that are coming out in poetry, and we give it the guise of, it's poetic license, it's fine. I can say Ali Rab or any of this rubbish that people are coming out with in the name of poetic license. Just don't exaggerate, nor lower our status. The fourth thing, don't make Ahlul Bayt a plaything, something that we just use willy-nilly whenever we want to get hold of it. Whenever I feel like being a Shia, I bring Ahlul Bayt into my life and I start debating with people and looking down at people, thinking that there is no one greater than me. And then when I'm outside of the masjid, who Ahlul Bayt, what? Look at my life, how I'm dealing with my family, how I'm dealing with my spouse, how I'm dealing with other members outside. And then the last thing that is the criteria, the characteristic of true love for Ahlul Bayt is that give them importance over all other things. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addresses the Holy Prophet in the Holy Quran, and He says to him that, He addresses us and He says, believers, give Allah and the Prophet precedence over your wives, your children, your homes, all of this mal, everything that you have. More important than anything is your duty to God, the Prophet and Ahlul Bayt. Everything else becomes secondary. You see how Zuhair ibn Qayn leaves everything and joins Abi Abdullah. You see individuals like Habib and Muslim that leave everything and join Abi Abdullah. Someone like Yazid ibn Subayt is coming and he's joining Imam al-Hussein with his sons, leaving everything behind. You have people like Amr ibn Gharada. Amr ibn Gharada is in the army of Abu Abdullah. His brother Ali ibn Gharada is in the army of Umar ibn Sa'd. Ali ibn Gharada is trying to pull his brother towards the army of Umar ibn Sa'd, but Umar ibn Gharada will not go. He will not leave. He's left everything, family ties, everything is useless. It is irrelevant. First comes Allah, the Prophet and the Hujjah of Allah. Then everything else falls into place. There should be nothing that is dearer to me than the order of God, the order of the Prophet, the order of Ahlul Bayt. Everything else, my family, my children, everything must be secondary to that. Abu Abdullah shows it practically. إلهي تركت الخلق طرا في هواك وأيتمت الأيال لكي أراك من قطعتني بالحب إربا إربا إمال الفؤاد إلى السواك. My Lord, I've left the whole of creation for your sake, and I've orphaned my children so that I may see you. And even if the swords were to come and cut me to pieces, my heart would turn to none but you. This is Karbala. And the dhulm that befell Ahlul Bayt, those that stood across from to do dhulm on a scale when no one else can even comprehend it. You heard how Ahlul Bayt are taken away from the bodies of their loved ones, and the women are taken away and they are tied and they are dragged towards Sham. They say on the 13th of Muharram, Bani Asad were gathered on the plains of Karbala trying to figure out whose body was whose. The heads had been removed from the bodies. It wasn't possible to tell. They say from the distance they saw someone riding towards them. As the person approached them, he asked them, what is it that you're looking to do? They said that we want to bury these bodies, but yet we cannot find, or we don't know who is who. He says, let me help you. Let me tell you whose body is whose. They say, who are you? He says, I am Sajjad, the son of Abu Abdullah. He begins to point out, this is the body of my brother Ali al-Akbar. This is the body of my cousin Qasim. This is the body of this individual and this individual. And then when he reaches that pile of stones, that mutilated body, he turns and he says, this is the body of my father Abi Abdullah. This is the body of my father. That broken chest of Imam al-Hussein having been crushed by the hooves of the horses. Now Imam al-Sajjad begins to dig up the earth and he places the body of his father in the earth. Then they say Sajjad began looking around. They turned to him and they said, what are you looking for? He says, when my father's body lay upon the plains of Karbala, they began looting things from his body. One man came to his body and found nothing to steal. Instead he saw a ring upon the finger of my father. He tried to remove it, but the ring would not come off. So instead he took his dagger and he cut off the finger of my father. Says, I'm looking for the finger of my father. He looks around at the ground. He finds the finger. He places it with Abi Abdullah. Then Sajjad again begins looking along the plains of Karbala. They say, what is it that you look for now? He says, I remember the wasiyah of my grandfather, my father, Abu Abdullah, where he said to me, oh Sajjad, when you come to bury me, bury my 6-month-old child on my chest. They say that Imam al-Sajjad brings the body of his brother Ali al-Asghar and he places it on the chest of Abi Abdullah. You may ask that the other night I recited in Musibah that Abu Abdullah buried Ali Asghar. He placed his cheek on the earth and he cried and went the grave of Ali Asghar. But now how is it that Sajjad has found the body of the child? It is haram to desecrate a grave. Then how is it that the body of Ali Asghar is lying on the plains of Karbala? For that we need to go to the 11th of Muharram, when the individuals that had trampled the body of Imam al-Hussein, when they came to Umar ibn Sa'ad, each of them was given a head of a member of Ahl al-Bayt. One man says, I wasn't given a head. He comes to Umar ibn Sa'ad, he says, oh Umar ibn Sa'ad, I want a head to carry towards Ibn Ziyad, so I too can receive a reward. He says to him, all the heads have been given, we have no more. He says, no, I demand a head. Umar ibn Sa'ad begins thinking. He says, what about the 6-month-old child of Hussein? Someone calls out, I saw Hussein bury the child where the tents used to be. He says, I instantly regretted telling Umar ibn Sa'ad, for 40 men were gathered and they were told to hold spears in their hands, and they walked across that place and they struck the earth with their spears until one Mal'un struck the earth. He pulled out his spear. At the end of it, the body of Ali al-Asghar. Rabab watches, Sakina watches, Zainab watches. ألا لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the sake of these tears. Ya Allah, forgive our sins. Ya Allah, we pray to you for the sake of these tears, forgive the sins of our parents. Allah, those of our parents that are alive, give them long lives. Those of our parents that have left this world, give them a place next to Ali Muhammad in Jannah. Oh Allah, those who are ill, suffering from physical ailments, mental health issues, Ya Allah, for the sake of these tears, Ya Allah, resolve their difficulties and give them shafa'ah. Those that are suffering from sorrows, Ya Allah, remove their sorrows. Ya Allah, those who are in debt, clear their debts. Those that are suffering financially, economically, Ya Allah, for the sake of these tears, solve their financial difficulties. Ya Allah, Keep safe our ulama and our maraja and keep them at the head of our institutions. Ya Allah, keep safe the Zaireen of Sayyid al-Shuhada. Ya Allah, keep safe the Azadar of Sayyid al-Shuhada. Ya Allah, destroy the enemies of Azadari, both internal and external. Allah, hasten the reappearance of the Imam of our time and allow us to be amongst his true muntadhirin, his true awaiters, Matim Hussein.